What a win for Leeds United. We'll talk about what it means for Chelsea in just a second. But first of all, for Jesse Marsch and what he's trying to do at Leeds, for that to happen at Elland Road in front of the Leeds fans who've been wanting this kind of result, this kind of occasion for so long. It felt huge.
Brilliant result. You know, the way he's got his team. We know that he's part of that Red Bull high pressing, high energy team. You know, great set piece there. You know, getting players with pace running into space, like you see, like Daniel James there. Then you've got people getting into the box. It's high energy, it's high tempo. And, you know, no, he's not going to play like how Bielsa played with this man marking, but he has got now, in Tyler Adams, you know, with people like Aronson and that, they've got a different kind of problem for teams. You know, they're bypassing that midfield. They're getting it to the pace, players with pace, players are closing down like Aronson and, you know, looking at Rodrigo now, who's scoring goals. It's really exciting for Leeds at the moment. Yeah. Very exciting.
Even that first goal, although it was a mistake by Edward Mendy, it was Aronson pressing him and just being there to be able to capitalise on the mistake.
Yeah, I really like him. He's a fantastic young player, and his work ethic is fantastic. Right, he made a good point. You know, from that Salzburg-Leipzig system, that's how they play. High energy, high intensity, and you could see that right from the off. And Jesse Marsch, you said get after Chelsea, force him into mistakes. We've seen Chelsea make mistakes pretty much all season so far, the first two. And it was really good. That's what you want to do. Put them under pressure. We said about United and Liverpool, put them under pressure. See if they can cope. And I think even Mendy's an amazing goalie. He just probably got surprised by the speed of Aronson. And then you got Dan James, you got Harrison on the other side. Right, you mentioned Rodrigo. They got so many good players in that side that I think they're going to be a threat. They're going to be hard to play against.
I think one of the good things about Leeds, I think this was a statement victory for them, because I think ever since Jesse Marsch came here, there's still that snobbery sometimes with fans, English fans, who kind of say, well, he's an American, does he know our game? And no matter what he does, and he did a great job last season keeping them in the Premier League, people still kind of just looked at him as sideways a little bit. But I think he's got that respect that he deserves, the work he's done. And bear in mind, they've lost Calvin Phillips, they've lost Rafinha in the transfer window. That yesterday was a fantastic feat of man management to inspire the players to perform, to keep up that level of work rate all the way to the end. And I think the perception of Jesse Marsch will have changed as a result of that match. I think that was a big, big victory for him. Not just because of the calibre of the opposition, but because of all of the things.
It's the way he's changed. It's the way they've changed the way they're playing as well. You mentioned Calvin Phillips, and obviously everything was played through him. And when he weren't playing, Leeds were like finished without him. Same with Rafinha. He's very much individualistic kind of a player, and he's replaced them with, like I say, Tyler Adams, who's playing there now, who they don't play through because they want to bypass. They want to get the ball into the last third and press teams in there. And this is why Aronson is so good, Daniel James so good, Harrison so good. He's changed it. It's going to be high intensity. And if they could keep that up, they are going to cause a lot of problems for teams.
The one problem they might have, Newcastle are big fans of Jack Harrison. They're trying to buy him. I think a second bid has gone in. Well, obviously not while we're speaking, but but today, and I think they're really going to go for him to try and get him away from there before the end of the window. It would be a big miss if they were to lose him because of what he gives to the team.
But also there's the matchup. I mean, yes, it's about the individual players, but Jesse Marsch said when he first came in, he was very animated on the touchline. He said, I want to do that. I want to show the Leeds fans that I'm as passionate as they are, because it is a vociferous, demonstrative crowd at Elland Road. And he seems like he was an aggressive player, wasn't he? And then Bradley knows him as a manager, as a coach. And he's brought all of that. He's harnessed it and used it in a positive way.
You can actually feel it, even like when the game's warming up, you can feel there's an intensity in the crowd, and the fans love to see when their manager's in it like that. I love watching Conte as well on the line, how engaged, and same with Klopp when he gets going, especially when he score. But what I love about Jesse is that he's American. They're all about bam, they're in your face, and that's how he wants his team. That's how he is, and I think it works for him. I'm really pleased that he's proven wrong. I remember when he was coming, Bradley said, "Dad, I tell you what he'll do. He'll get that team working hard." And those players will love him, and those fans will love him because of the energy he brings. And it's working for him.
In terms of their running and in terms of the work that they're putting in, you said that he'll get them working hard. They ran over 10 kilometres more than Chelsea across the whole of the game.
That's like an extra player.
But sometimes
You're right, yeah.
But sometimes that can be because a team is chasing the game. But Leeds, this is a game that they won 3-0, and still they put in all that extra effort.
But that's the only way they can probably compete with Chelsea and City and Liverpool. You've got to outrun them. But I think those numbers don't show respect to the fact that when they won the ball, then when they turned it over, they had quality. All the goals are good goals. All the guys are good ball players. So I think in that sense, yeah, high intensity, high pressure, turnovers in the final third. But they're all good ball players. They're all good on the ball, and that's what he wants. And I think if they're clinical in front of goal, then watch out, because obviously they're doing that without Bamford. You know, you think about the two best players in the league so far, obviously Gabriel Jesus and Rodrigo at the top of the pitch. I think he's top scorer, isn't he?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden now you got Harrison, you got Dan James, you got Aronson in the hole, your new midfield and Rocker and Tyler Adams. They're well set up to have a go. So credit Jesse Marsh. You know, he's done an amazing job turning that team into something really interesting. Yeah,
it could be a good season for Leeds United ahead. For Chelsea, it's been a bit more of a mixed bag. It looked as though there might be some bright spots, but this is a big defeat for them. It's a significant defeat. Obviously, Koulibaly is going to be suspended now for his sending off in the game. But Thomas Tuchel was not happy. Can you understand why? I mean, he started off by saying, we lost it in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, I can. It's not the first time he's not been happy in the last 6 weeks or so. In pre-season, he wasn't happy after games against Charlotte and the game against Arsenal as well. He talked about the lack of application and commitment from some of the players. But I think yesterday was slightly different. I think there was commitment. I just think they were shell-shocked by Leeds' direct running and the strategy of getting in behind those defenders and basically not allowing them any time on the ball whatsoever. I still think they're a good team, but I also think that they're suffering a little bit from the transfer strategy, because when Todd Boehly took over, what he should have done, and what we've seen so many times when new owners have taken over, they've put a sporting director in place and they've left the job of recruiting players to that person. But Tuchel has been very involved in that decision-making process, and he's told us when we were in America, that's not really what I want to do. I want to work with the players. I feel the team's undercooked and I haven't been able to devote all of my attentions to them because I've been working with the owners to bring players in. And they still look a bit light in midfield. They still haven't done Fofana. They want to take him from Leicester, and they still don't have a striker. So they still look very, very undercooked. And I think if a team is as ambitious and enterprising as Leeds were yesterday, I think there are more points to take out of Chelsea.
I was interested to hear him talk about the journey that the coaching staff had to make. And he wasn't saying this is the reason that we lost the game. What he was saying was there were a load of things during the week that were going wrong. Players were picking up knocks. And then the final straw, we all get to travel up together, and there's been a train strike in the UK. It's been terrible for all of us. What happened was the players were able to fly up. The coaching staff weren't able to get there because there's a lot of demand on transport systems. I'm sorry, this is really dull. A lot of demand on transport systems. But then the coaching staff had to get on the coach then. He's like, we wanted to be with the players.
Yeah, but you know,
it's little things that when things go wrong, you're on the end of a bad result, you've had a player sent off, and you just think, everything that could have gone wrong did.
What people will have no sympathy for is that there's
people getting a luxury coach.
Yeah, it's
3 hours up the road.
it's part of the routine, and the routine is vitally important. And then, you know, I can't imagine what it's like when you get there and your coach ain't there, the manager's not there. You're already thrown off your axis a little bit. And when they started the game, Leeds started unbelievably, and they would have probably be thinking, okay, we'll see this off soon. They didn't. So then another thing's gone wrong for them because Leeds are now not easing off. You can't get into your rhythm. You haven't been in your rhythm all week because things have been happening. All that's happened with the coach and whatever else. And then you're playing against a team that are just so energized. They're not giving you nothing. It's one of those games where you just think, oh my gosh, this is too tough. It's almost one of those games you think nothing's happening for us, and then bam, they score again. Before you know it, you've lost the game. It's the way it goes. You just have to suck it up.
Could be that Fofana, De Jong and Aubameyang are on their way to Chelsea, though. They might not be done in the transfer window. This could be, by the 1st of September, a very different looking Chelsea side.